Hello. So, my name is honestly Anna, and I will be talking about Ramadan for 2021. I know it's all a bit different this year because of the pandemic. Uh, we'll just be celebrating it a little bit differently. So, here are some just quick tips about Ramadan, whether you are new to celebrating it or you have been celebrating it for a long time. And I will start off with talking about H2O, or water. So whether you drink water during Ramadan, during fasting, I do because that is my choice due to some health concerns that I have for myself. Some of you do not, which is perfectly fine as well. Most people who celebrate Ramadan do not drink water while they fast, and that is their choice. So make sure you fill up your water bottle and have it prepared for the morning when you have suhoor, which is the first meal that you have in the morning. And it's also good to drink water during iftar, which is your meal that you're having in the evening. Another one that I think is kind of fun to plan out and think about is preparing your meals for suhoor. So suhoor is your first meal, and so you want this meal to give you enough energy that will last throughout the day. So you want to have energy to do things that you do and not feel like you're starving or like you're ill because you have the energy from what you ate during suhoor. So I usually have protein, grains, and fruit during suhoor. So that could mean protein like having some quiche and some nuts like peanut butter or something like that, or some pecans. And then fruits, so maybe like a fruit smoothie or parfait, something you enjoy there. And then also having your grains, so I like to have maybe some rice or some oatmeal with my food for suhoor. And of course, drinking water during suhoor, or I also like to drink some milk. Next to think about is setting your alarms. So suhoor happens in the very early morning, so whenever you plan to get up for that time to eat your suhoor, then you set your alarm then, and it's good because you may forget that you need that, and so I just set an alarm on my device and it says time to get up and remember to eat suhoor, because if you forget, you will be very unhappy and hungry. So let's see, I also think that it's really important for Ramadan to think about what you want to get out of it. So some people, it could be some way to better themselves. So overall, I think fasting for Ramadan will better yourself spiritually and overall in whatever way that you want it to happen for you. So other things you can add on to ways to bettering yourself, maybe giving zakat, so being charitable, or like what I'm doing personally, I am trying to have less technology in my life. I know that I'm on technology right now, as it can be very addictive, so I'm going to try and put away my technology for the month of Ramadan. And so that's one thing. Also, if it's your first Ramadan, I recommend maybe keeping a journal and kind of thinking about what realizations you noticed from fasting, because I promise you that you will not be the same person coming out of Ramadan that you were going in, because you can learn a lot of things about fasting in general, about people around you, and especially about yourself. I had an interesting realization my first Ramadan. Just a little story. And I'm not sure if it's an isolated experience, but I found this out and I found it interesting. So during my first Ramadan, I didn't know that much about suhoor, and so I probably didn't eat as much as I should have. or ate the stuff that I should have eaten. And I started wanting to put things in my mouth, even if they weren't edible, like um, chewing on raw pasta or just chewing on other things that were not edible, like plastic or something like that. Like, I didn't put it in my mouth, but I felt like I really wanted to chew on it, and I felt like that would quench my hunger, even though it wasn't actually eating something. And so I realized that connection because when I was a child in school, there was a girl who would always put things in her mouth. She would always chew on things that were not edible. And she would also always ask for my lunch whenever I had finished eating what I had eaten for lunch the day, asking for any leftovers. So I realized kind of that the reason she put things in her mouth that weren't edible and chewed on them is because she was hungry. She was not food secure. She was food insecure during that time as a child. And I did know that her family was very poor too, so it's just a very interesting realization. And I think that was a positive realization with Ramadan and something that I had definitely worth noting. I'd also say you can kind of have negative experiences with Ramadan. One time when I was fasting, my blood sugar is just too low, and I got very sad and aggressive and very stressed out, and so my health was not at the top level that would be good for fasting. So I don't say this as an authority figure, just as someone who feels a certain way. I feel that if your health is not at its best in emotional or physical form, then you can break fast. If Ramadan is causing you emotional pain and stress more than it should, then you can break fast. Just real short, eat a banana, take a break, calm down, drink some water. Might be better. That's something that I wish I had done during the time that I felt that fasting was overwhelming me. So I think that Ramadan can be a difficult challenge, but it can also be very rewarding if done correctly. So back to my tips. I hope you enjoyed those realizations. So back to my tips with Ramadan. I also think planning iftar meals, so that's the evening meal, so planning iftar meals with your family would, it's a really fun thing to do, I think, deciding what to cook for dinner and everything like that. And so I know that this year it can be very different because the pandemic causes us not to be with our friends and family, because a lot of the time people eat iftar in a big gathering, but with pandemic that's not really a possibility. Or you might have changed where you live due to the pandemic, and so maybe the people you live with do not celebrate Ramadan, and but I think it's still nice. Ask them, even if they don't celebrate Ramadan, you can ask them and say, do you want to have a special iftar meal with me? I'll cook, you cook. It'd be great. And then some more tips I think of is if you're doing zakat, which is being charitable, which is something that's commonly done if you're giving zakat. So commonly done during Ramadan as being charitable. Decide what that looks like for you, what it means, what you want to do for it. Just something could be important. And make sure you're being healthy. Make sure you're eating suhoor properly. You're having iftar. Oh, that just reminded me. Iftar. So make sure that with iftar you don't overeat. I know that during the day you will feel like, oh, I'm so hungry. I cannot wait till iftar, and I will just eat like crazy. Don't eat like crazy. You will regret it. Your evening will not be pleasurable, and your stomach will probably hurt. Eat the normal amount, and then wait 20 minutes or so. See if you are still hungry. Eat some more, but don't eat very quickly, or you'll get a stomachache. And one last thing. I mentioned earlier about thinking about what Ramadan means to you and why you are celebrating it, because I know that some of you watching, you may have not chosen to celebrate Ramadan. Your family might be doing it and you follow along with that practice. But even Ramadan being something for your family and you may not feel as connected to it yourself, it's important to kind of figure out what it means for you. For myself, I really connect to how it makes me feel thinking about that other people don't have 3 meals a day like I do and have food security like I do. And so that's something that I connect to. But for other people, it can be completely different. Something maybe about praying, or something more spiritual, or something less spiritual than what I'm connecting to right now. So whatever Ramadan means to you, try and make it a meaningful year of Ramadan. And Ramadan blessings. I wish you the best for your Ramadan. Bye, everyone.